Dear friends, good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening to another Gnostic Lab practical application. Tonight, we're going to address a subject matter that is of importance because we have gotten questions throughout the years. What happens at the moment that I die with all of this stuff that I have learned? And that is a phenomenal question. As a matter of fact, having that question at the tip of the lips is an indication that there is a burning fire deep within the heart. And at the moment of death, if we have limited ourselves to taking these teachings and keeping them compartmentalized within our many storage rooms of memory, the shock of the ray of death is going to be so intense that the memories will fade away. We cannot allow ourselves that type of misfortune. It is important that we receive the teaching and that we can have it available through the mind, but the teaching itself cannot reside within memory. It is important that we take these teachings and that we use them so that we can build our own experiential knowledge and that we can then deposit the teaching within our own heart. So the ability to take these teachings and bring them as part of our experience, integrate them into our consciousness as part of the experiential knowledge is of vital importance. Now, some students have asked, how does that look like? And by now, you have partaken of enough lectures and enough practices that as you have listened to the doctrine, learned the material, many questions have answered themselves by themselves. In many instances, you have come to realize, I knew that. You can state with much clarity that you are very certain that you knew the thing. And that is an indication that some of that teaching was there within the consciousness itself. But we need to do something more. And we need to make ourselves conscious of the material itself. And one of the biggest limiters that we face is this aspect of ourselves that is known as the Kalkian personality. Samael says, undoubtedly, the Kalkian personality is a victim of self-deception. And the Kalkian personality is that aspect of our personality that is convinced that we have learned everything that there is to learn about any given subject matter. There are people who believe that they are phenomenal cooks and they will not take advice from someone younger because you're younger than me. What is it that you may know that I don't? I have so much more experience on this. What could you possibly contribute into my life experience? This is what the Kalkian personality says. Beyond that, well, there are egos of gnosis that we carry within that are also heavily conditioned by the Kalkian personality. And we see this in many students. Students who go from the from the pre-chamber to the first chamber, and suddenly they want nothing more to do with the pre-chamber teachings. They say, oh, I wonder what they are going to speak about tonight. And they see, oh, they will talk about keys for astral projection, keys for astral unfoldment. Oh, yeah, I know that. And then they don't show up. Or they say, oh, tonight they're going to speak about why is it that we judge others? Oh, yeah, I know why we judge others. Yeah, I don't have to go to that. These are manifestations of the Kalkian personality. And this is why Samael says the Kalkian personality is a victim of self-deception. We convince ourselves that we know enough about this or that thing, and we close the door to the opportunity of learning something else. When that happens, this false belief that we just know everything that there is to know, well, becomes the limiter. Because if we know it within our mind, if we know it because we can look within our memories and find it, well, that does not necessarily mean that we have learned it in such a way where we can actually apply it. And we must then ask ourselves, if the ego is present and the ego is constantly translating, well, even as we are listening to this little dissertation, then who's listening? Are we making an effort to listen with the intent of applying what we're learning? Or are we simply here, sitting before the screen and listening because this is what I have to do? And those are two completely different perspectives. We need to give ourselves the opportunity to experience alert novelty and alert perception. We need to learn to see things as if we had not seen them before. Because after so many years of having the opportunity to offer these lectures to you several nights a week, every time the lectures come back, as the cycle starts once again, with the new opportunity to share the lecture, we, the instructors, have had the chance of many moons and many weeks of practice with the material. And we come across different discoveries of our own life experience, of our own direct observations, and they give us an opportunity to share them so that you can vicariously experience certain things by the experience of others, and so that when we speak of it, if you have already seen it, that then seeing it becomes a conscious exercise, and that the next time you can identify it because it has been clarified to such a degree that now there is no doubt that you know what that thing is. It is critical that we understand who is the one who is listening. And to do that, we must remain present. Friends, if we are sitting here trying to listen to a lecture and somehow the mobile device is inviting enough that we still have the need to be scrolling through our Tumblr or our Reddit or our Twitter or whatever it is that we have, then we have to wonder, where exactly are we? Our body may be here, but if our consciousness is within the metaverse, then that is where we are. If we are thinking that we're going to sit down and meditate, and by the time that we sit down, our body is still, our eyes are closed, our body is tolerating the posture of the crossed legs, but meanwhile, our thoughts are dealing with what happened yesterday, the problem that has not solved, the challenges that we are expecting tomorrow. Then, with Samael telling us you are wherever your consciousness is, then we are still stuck in yesterday, or we are then fearful and contemplating with uncertainty what the future may bring. So this is why the ancient masters tell us, if you're going to eat, eat. If you're going to get dressed, get dressed. But don't get dressed while you're eating, and certainly don't eat while you're getting dressed. We must make an effort to remain present. And one of our instructors, who is a phenomenal creature, he's always emphatic with us by telling us, what are you doing in your next 10 seconds? What are you choosing on your life for the next 10 seconds? In these next 10 seconds, how are you planning to live them? And this is a very powerful statement in itself, because many students are unable to maintain 10 seconds of awareness during the day. And those who start and start becoming successful, then they realize that they have to repeat the effort several times during the day itself. And we must remain present, but we also need to learn how is it that we can remain present. And a good way to do that is by offering everything that we do, because everything is important, as part of our sacred office, as part of our sacrifice to the innermost. There is no harm in us invoking our divine being and saying, Father, I offer you this opportunity. I offer you this moment through this vehicle so that you become the dominating entity present. So that you stand beyond my desires, beyond my fears, beyond my insecurities, and that you can be here present within me, within this heart, so that you can go through this experience as well. And if we do this several times a day, if we invoke of our Divine Mother and ask of our Divine Mother to help us see, comprehend, receive, become intuitive, become inspired, the more we repeat these habits during the day, well, the more we start repeating them at night while the consciousness has unfolded and is in the astral plane. And it will not take long for you to start experiencing brief moments of heightened awareness, brief moments of awakening. And soon enough, the frequency of those moments will increase. The amplitude, the penetration of those moments will go so far deeper into the consciousness. And soon enough, one day as you experience a meal and you enjoy of the flavors and the textures and you enjoy the moment, as you say, Divine Father, I invite you to enjoy of this meal, just in case. Up there in that sixth dimension of nature, just in case there is no ice cream or there is no cheesecake or there is, so you can experience this here within this realm of substance. Maybe that awareness of the texture, of the flavor, of the company is what is necessary to awaken. So this is what it means for us to remain present. And when it comes to all of these Gnostic subjects, because there are many lectures, those of you who go through the pre-chamber, you go through at least 40 lectures. Those of you who walk into the first chamber, the intermediate level studies, that is a period of greater than a year of study in which you will receive anything between 75 and 80 different lectures. Those of you who walk into the preparation to the second chamber, you will have the opportunity of going through 55 lectures here on preparation, 22 additional works of esoteric work. And then as you become part of the advanced level studies, you will come to see that even though there is even deeper, more profound material, much of what is discussed are the same subjects that are brought into the pre-chamber. It is just that now we look at them from a completely different perspective. It is now that we can extract so much more out of it. So with all of this information, with all of these practices, we have to then start making the habit to not just take things for granted. You know, it really does not count if you're saying, well, that's what the instructor said, so it must be true. Certainly not. We have to learn to bring a more profound quality of thought because we're seeking for the ultimate condition of no thinking. But the fact is that we may not be there yet. Different students are at different stages of development throughout their work. Everyone takes from this exactly what they bring into. Those who bring tenacity, discipline, consistency, well, they get a lot. Those who skim through the material, well, they take exactly back the effort that they put in. So as we go through this material, as we receive it, we have to invite ourselves to embrace a deeper level of thought. And as we continue working towards pratyahara, which is that condition of no thinking, we have to increase our critical thinking by questioning what we are hearing. We have to question it, but we also have to inquire. It would be phenomenal if you had the opportunity at every lecture just to be able to post your questions so that we can have some dynamic in a Q&A. But if that is not possible, you need to question what you are receiving, and then you have to inquire within the solitude of your private moments. And as you inquire, you will either receive an answer from an external source, or you will be receiving an answer from within. So as you question and you inquire, you then need to give yourself the opportunity to analyze. And there is no better analysis than putting things through the test. So you really have to take what you're learning and apply it. Somebody can tell you, well, don't put your hand on the hot stove because if you do, eventually you will get hurt. Somebody may tell you as a child, don't insert the key on the electrical socket because it's going to be painful. But we know that it is not until the moment of the experience, when the electric shock goes through, when the hand sizzles for an instant, that you come to receive all of the wisdom that you needed to get about that particular experience. And this is part of the analysis. So we question, we inquire, we put it into practice, we analyze, and then we must reflect on what we have seen. We must reflect on the experience. We must reflect on what we have learned. And this is exactly how we bring these teachings into the consciousness. Now imagine what happens when you embrace alert novelty and alert perception. Imagine the profound impact within the consciousness when you decidedly look at things as if you had never seen them before, over and over again. You question, and you will question new things. You inquire, and every time the inquiry is at a deeper level of understanding, you analyze and you bring that experience into a deeper level of experiential knowledge. And as you reflect, you can then see the teaching completely integrated within your practice. We must do this not only for the Gnostic teaching. If we are studying a subject matter in college, whether it is organic chemistry or nuclear chemistry, whether it is calculus or whether it is the properties of materials, we need to apply these very same principles. Question, inquire, analyze, and reflect. Now, of course, some people may say, but wait, if I am studying chemistry, if I am studying microbiology, how am I going to reflect on this? How am I going to really analyze this if I cannot put my hands on a strand of DNA? If I cannot put my hands on an atom and look at the quantas that are necessary for electrons to go from one orbit to the next? Well, at that point, we must rely on the practice of meditation. We must bring the subject matter into our meditation because we have already learned that the moment that our intellect comes down, the moment our physical body is relaxed and the emotions calm down as well, the process of thinking slows down and we receive intuits of the innermost. The innermost communicates with us, and then through the intuit, the combination of objective imagination, we can then see beyond the appearance of the thing. We can then determine what is the significance, the reason for that phenomena to manifest. And we can also apprehend the spiritual reality of it. This is how we methodically transition from our state of the sleep of the consciousness to slowly start practicing the constant awareness of being in the present moment, to increasing the capacity of thought, increasing the capacity of critical thinking, and because we are bringing about the practice of meditation, the relaxation of the body, of the emotion, and of thought, we then start awakening consciousness and penetrating within the deep mysteries of creation. And this is exactly why we do retrospection. Samael says, why do we meditate? We don't meditate just to have an out-of-body experience or to feel a vibration or a light or see an angel standing next to you. These are artifices of the mind. We meditate because we need to calm down. And calming down comes in thirds. The body, the emotion, and the mind need to calm down. One student, at some point they said, but you say this. But I'm telling you, I see this divine being sitting next to me as I am meditating. And of course, there are many students who have profound experiences. But we need to learn to discern. We need to learn to perceive. And as part of the conversation, we tell the student, let's go ahead and do this together. Let's apply the basic elements of critical thinking into our experience. And we can then question, inquire, analyze, and reflect. And we start speaking about how complicated it is for many people, the exercise of meditation. How difficult it is for them simply to be able to be there, sitting comfortably and perceiving. How difficult it is for so many others to be there and be able to calm the mind. How difficult it is for many others to be able to overcome the frustrations, the fears, the insecurities of the many difficult circumstances that they experience in life. And on top of that, how difficult it is for so many others to be able to deal with all those three things at the same time. And if we have so much difficulty to calm the body, to calm the mind, and calm our emotions, why would we think that a divine being will come to stand next to us to create a distraction? Simply to distract us from the effort. Well, this is how we can start seeing where is it that we have a true experience and where is it that the ego plays with our own fanaticisms. Because certainly, all divine beings are seeking for the moment in which we can experience the illuminating void, where we can receive uninterrupted the flow of wisdom that comes from the innermost. And certainly, they are not just going to show up, to show themselves, to have no interaction, and simply distract us from this work that sometimes demands so much. So this is why we meditate. We meditate so that we can calm down. And Samael says, and we do retrospection because we need to make ourselves conscious of the activities of the day. And for many people, well, they do retrospection once a day. And this is at the end of the day where they make an effort to look back at everything that happened during the day. Some other students are a little bit more disciplined. They demand a little bit more of the work. So they do retrospection at night to revisit what has happened during the day. And then they do retrospection in the morning so that they can revisit what happened during their astral experience. And then there are others who try to imitate the diligence and the tenacity of Master Samael Aumveor himself. And Samael used to meditate several times a day. After certain activities had taken place, he would retreat and he would sit, calm the body, the emotion, and the mind, and retrospect over what just had happened. And he did that with the intent of making himself conscious of everything that took place. And he would come back from that session of meditation, retrospection, and he will continue his day. And sometime Soon after noontime, he will stop once again and he will once again go into a state of meditation to revisit what has just happened and the memories of earlier during the day. And he would continue with that several times a day, simply to be there. Simply to be able to make himself fully conscious of every thought, of every action, of every sentiment that had been there present. And as a consequence, when he then is ready to invoke of the help of the Divine Mother, the depth of comprehension of the defect is deep, profound. Certainly, many of us have 2 jobs. Many of us have to wake up too early in the morning, take care of the children, take them to school, go to work, come back home, pick up the children, make a meal, go back to the second job, and come back late at night and enjoy just a handful of hours of sleep. Many of us have lives that have proven to be very challenging. And of course, it may be difficult for us to sit down and meditate for 1 or 2 hours, 3 or 4 times a day. But nevertheless, we can still do retrospection. We can still go through some events in life, and as we have a moment of quietude, as we have a moment of solitude, of privacy, it is perfectly fine to invoke the innermost, to help us go back and revisit that moment that shocked us the most, that moment that we enjoyed the most, that moment that perhaps seemed a little dull, a little quiet, and that we are not sure exactly what happened. And just to revisit what we felt, what we thought, what we did, so that we can even look at that mental image frame and see what things were taking place around us. What impressions did we not catch? What impressions invited a reaction of the ego that went unnoticed? So we may not be able to have 2 or 5 hours of retrospective exercise during the day, but maybe we can have a few minutes that during the day they may add up to 1 hour, 2 hours, etc. This is how is it that we make ourselves conscious of the events of the day. This is how we bring into the consciousness all of that material that we are learning at school and become capable of applying it. This is exactly how we make ourselves conscious of the Gnostic teachings, and we equip ourselves in such a way where we can really put them into practice. So, dear friends, this is how is it that we comprehend the Gnostic doctrine. When we come to realize that the day itself, that our life itself is the practice, then we start seeing the Gnostic doctrine behind every corner. And I would like just for us to relax our body, to close our eyes, and just do a brief exercise of retrospection so that we can truly make ourselves conscious of the events that took place today. So let's go ahead and start by closing our eyes. Let's go ahead and make ourselves aware of the sensations in our physical body. If there's anything that feels uncomfortable, anything that is too tight, anything that is just creating a physical distraction, this is a good moment to take care of it. Now let's go ahead and take a deep breath in 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. With every exhalation, let's allow our body just to sink a little deeper onto that chair. Let's focus in our breathing. Let's breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. And let's go ahead and make ourselves aware of our emotional state. There are many of us who may have been going through a series of challenging circumstances for the last few weeks, and that is not uncommon. We live in challenging times, and challenging times require sometimes superior efforts in our abilities to adapt and overcome certain challenges. As a consequence of this, some of us may be here in this practice just seeking for that balm that can heal our ailing heart. And during the day, we may have been feeling emotions of apathy and grief. Maybe the uncertainties that we face have invited some fears. Maybe the dynamics with our neighbors, with our friends, our children, our spouse. Maybe we have found ourselves with some frustrations, feelings of anger. Maybe we've had some covert hostilities against the people that we love. Maybe in other cases we look at what has been happening in our life for the last 4 years. And as we look at the last few years, we see ourselves repeating the same things over and over. We may experience boredom. And in other cases, well, we may have been on a good wave where things seem to be promising, and we may be excited about what is happening and the changes that we're experiencing. And we may be strongly interested in what's coming up next. Maybe we feel deep enthusiasm. But regardless of where we stand in that spectrum, we need to keep in mind that as long as we remain bound to the law of the pendulum, all of these emotions will continue being temporal, and they will come and they will go. And if today we're sad, well, tomorrow we will be happy. And if today we have been celebrating in joy and happiness, well, we know that soon enough, sour moments, difficult moments will come around. So regardless of what our emotions have been, regardless of what our emotion is, what is important is that we acknowledge it, that we realize that these things pass, and that we are empowered to stand at the very center of the circle of Tao. Standing at the center of that circle, we look in one direction and we can see one side, like happiness, and we can face the other way and see the complete opposite, like sadness. On one side we can see enthusiasm, and on the other one we can see boredom. On one side we can see our anger, and on the other one we can see our altruism. On one side we can see our resentment, and on the other side we can see forgiveness. You're all empowered to stand at the center of that circle. And as we focus on awakening our consciousness and remaining present, standing at the center of the circle of Tao becomes every time so much more easier. And we become so much more capable of dealing with the challenges of life. We become so much more contemplative. So knowing this, let's invoke of our Divine Father. We can start by chanting the mantra Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Kopihana Vaya Vaya Swaha. Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Kopihana Vaya Vaya Swaha. Let's practice this mantra once again. Krim Krishnaya Govindaya Kopihana Vaya Vaya Swaha. As you sit comfortably with your feet on the floor, your hands on your thighs, your spine erect and your head resting comfortably on your shoulders with your eyes closed, allow yourself to look up. Make use of your faculty of clairvoyance, that objective imagination, and perhaps you will be able to see up above that flaming star shining upon you. A flaming star that envelops you and brings you warmth and protection. And we invoke our innermost by saying, Divine Father, Father of mine, you who are my true being, you who are my eternal God, we're here humbly at your presence, asking of you, begging of you of your contribution. Divine Father, we offer ourselves to you as a delicate instrument. We make ourselves at your service. Let it be you, Father, the one who brings about the faculties of inspiration, intuition, imagination. Let it be you, the one who scours through our own memories of the day and allow us to experience every moment once again. Instruct us on how we felt, how we behaved, how we reacted, how we thought at those moments of the day, and help us see the reflection of our psychological aggregates so that we may comprehend them, so that we may nourish the stream of information that we need to eliminate our aggregates with the help of our Divine Mother. We ask of this in your holy name. So be it. Now let's focus our attention on our feet. And as we focus that attention, we focus the attention of the consciousness. And we focus on our toes, the soles of our feet, our heels, our ankles, our calves, our shins, our knees. We immediately experience the gentle warmth that comes with a sensation of relaxation. And we receive it with a great deal of satisfaction because it is perfect. It is effortless. We focus our attention once again on our knees. And we bring that attention upward along the underside of our legs. And we instantaneously feel the sensation of relaxation in our hamstrings. And we continue bringing that upwards. And we relax our glutes. We relax our hips. We relax our creative organs. And slowly that sensation of relaxation inundates every tissue, every tendon, every ligament, every conduit through which the energy and the fluids flow within our thighs. As we experience the sensation of relaxation, we bring our attention at the very base of our spine. And by doing so, we immediately start feeling that sensation of relaxation at the base of our coccyx. And so we allow the attention of our consciousness to remain fluid and to continue moving upwards in our spine. And we feel the relaxation deep within our hips. And we relax our abdomen, our internal organs, our diaphragm, our stomach, our lungs, and our heart. And at this moment, let's focus our attention in our breathing. We breathe in through the nose, and we breathe out through the nose. And we seek to make our breathing effortless. With every exhalation, we allow the body just to sink a little deeper onto the chair. We bring back the attention of our consciousness right in the middle of our back, in that space that exists between our shoulder blades. And with every exhalation, we allow that attention of the consciousness to continue moving upwards, up towards the base of our neck, and expand into the shoulders, and from there cascade onto the elbows, our wrists, our hands, and our fingers. As we do this, we immediately feel a sensation of relaxation inundating every organ, every tissue, every one of the different systems that make up our body. And we do this consciously. And we know that at any moment, today or during the upcoming days, we can always invoke of our innermost and ask to bring back this deep state of relaxation. And that is something very useful to do. Because whether we may be experiencing a moment of joy or one of those crucial moments in our life, we can always invoke for this relaxation so that we can truly be there, be present, and perceive. So in this feeling of gratitude and gratefulness, we bring back the attention of our consciousness to the base of our skull, that space that exists behind our head and between our ears. And we instantaneously feel that gentle vibration that comes with relaxation. And we allow it to expand naturally, effortlessly. And so we relax our jaw, we relax our tongue and our lips, We relax our eyes and our eyelids. We relax the muscles of our forehead. And we allow that sensation of relaxation to expand through our scalp. And as it expands, it continues until it finds itself, within itself, at the very crown of our head. And at this moment, we take a deep breath in 1, 2, and we initiate our exercise retrospection. We allow ourselves to go backwards in our day and revisit every moment so we can see what impressions we missed, how we behaved, how we felt, what we were thinking. Very well. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. 1, 2. 1, 2. And we wiggle our toes and our fingers. Very well. So, dear friends, this has been our Gnostic lab of this week, comprehending the Gnostic doctrine. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to be part of your families and participate with this exercise. And to everyone, we wish you a great weekend, and may all beings be happy. Have a good night.